All right, so back with another video. Now, by this time, I'm not sure in what order these videos are being uploaded. You're probably all seeing me in the same background, the same t-shirt. I promise. All these videos have been recorded in the same day. Probably all within the same few hours. So yeah. This video is like another chit chat again, not structured, but I'm hoping I can give you some good tips around how to navigate work and grief. Now, if you haven't seen my other grief video update, I would say watch that first before you watch this one, because I give you just a little bit of an update about what happened, but not in detail. This one I can give you a little bit more detail on how to sort of get support during it. Right, so let's get into it. In regards to grief, it's hard anyway. Returning back to work after a very difficult loss can be very hard and challenging. And put aside that each workplace will have policies and procedures around a phased return, maybe after a period of sick, absence, and maybe even specifically how employers manage employees dealing with grief. Read up on those policies. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Make sure you read up on those. And to be fair, read up on all the policies of your employer when you first start. And then if you do unfortunately experience a loss where you have to take time off for grief, read up on it again if you can. If you can't, get someone else to read it and they can feed you back the main points that you need to know. So when I obviously experienced my loss, I went off on a compassionate leave at first. And compassionate leave, can cover many things, but death is a main one. And that covered, I think, the first 2 weeks or so of my 4-week absence that I was away from work for when my mum passed. And basically, it then went from there onto sick leave. And to be fair, in those first 4 weeks, I wasn't recuperating. I was managing and planning my mother's funeral. That's what I was doing. So I didn't really get any time to rest, to stop, to grieve. This was not a period to grieve whatsoever. So the grief really starts when I return to work. I returned to work 4 weeks later, and I remembered that the day I started, I was like, okay, we need to get back to normal. We need to get into work. Work's going to help me, structure me. And all this fluidity of just going through the motions of dealing with someone's estate or dealing with this and dealing with that, that will just come when it comes, and I will deal with that. But work is the thing that's going to help me, structure me. I borderline had this impression because in the past, work's always been something that's helped me get through stress. I don't know what it is. Even when work was a stress, sometimes work would just help me get through things. Well, not this time. So anyone that's experiencing this, watch out for how you feel and how you respond to work when you return back to work. Now, most organizations will have a phased return back to work after a long absence. And that could be anything from 3 weeks onwards. There will be some sort of process. And depending on why you are absent, the phased return will look maybe different. But if your workplace, basically it's really important for you and your manager to speak about what that phased return should look like. Mine looked very textbook. I don't think I changed much. I stuck to what they wanted, what they stipulated in their policy of what the phased return would look like. So I think the first week I was only working a few hours a day, and then that was it. And then it kind of creeps up a bit more each week. You increase your hours till you go back to full time. And that's the policy. Well, anyone going through grief knows that grief is no respect of any policy. It does not care. It's not bothered by what the employer has to say about how you get up every day. It does not care. And if, unfortunately, like myself, you are in a job that doesn't either suit you, not for you, or you don't like, or you've already had challenges or difficulties, this is times by 100 when you're going through such a difficult time. Maybe not everyone else, but I know this is what I experienced. I did not like where I worked before the grief, and that just got worse after. Anyway, and this is not for me to bash my employer, by the way. I want to make it very clear that some of my dislike is not because of my actual employer. This was borderline more just to do with, I think, what I thought the job was and what it actually was. And I think maybe I just didn't do enough homework on what I was getting into. And that is what I will take accountability for. So I want to make that very clear. I'm not bashing anyone, but I think it's any issues you had at work before will potentially get heightened after such a difficult period of time in your life. Anywho, so, grief doesn't respect policies. It doesn't care. You have to really be on your toes, even in such a difficult time. Listen to your mind. Are you actually ready to go back to work? Was you ready? If you seem extremely disconnected with the work during this phase return at work, if you feel consistently disengaged, lack of enthusiasm, and bear in mind, this may happen naturally anyway because you're grieving. Grief at that point in time may feel like your whole entire world, and therefore there's space for nothing else. So don't think that this can't happen, but the workplace isn't great. No, I'm not saying that. But look at the extent of what that disengagement looks like. If it's very extreme, like in my case, I was so disengaged that I cannot tell you and I cannot remember what was happening between the week I returned back to work and when I go for sick again, because I had experienced delayed onset of grief. So really, and you know what? I'm going to be very honest. That phase return will also really be dependent on the relationship between you and your manager. I can't reiterate that enough. If you and your manager do not have a good relationship, it can be very difficult to navigate that phase return. I'm inclined to say that plays a very vital position on how successful that phase return is. And it's that level of comfortability and relationship with your manager that will allow you to either be very honest with them or to hold back. You also have to have a level of trust. Now, your manager doesn't have to be your friend, no. But if you trust your manager and so forth, and you have such a good working relationship with them, be as honest as you can. Obviously, you don't have to tell them everything, but be honest. That's something that I have to take accountability for. I don't think I was always honest in my situation. I think I was honest in the sense of what I thought they wanted to hear, but not for myself. I wasn't forthcoming because in my mind, I'm just trying to hold things together in my own personal life, let alone work life. That was a completely different thing. I'm just trying to navigate and hold it together. My mental health was hitting the floor, but then I would put on a smile on my face and act like I'm coping when I was not coping. I weren't coping, 0 to none. Also, as I said, your relationships at work. I don't think you should go to work to meet friends, no. But those working relationships are very vital to how you also reintegrate your life back post a loss. Post a loss. It will really either help or prevent you from having a very good sort of reintegration back into work. Another thing I'd mention in regards to grieving at work is don't just think that because you felt okay for a few days and you're smashing it and you got success, whatever, that at some point, if you don't smash it and you don't do as well, that there's something wrong with you. It's just a journey. Grief is really a journey. It's not a final destination, and it's not something that you're going to get over. You're always going to be going through it. So if one week you're performing great, and then another week you're not. It's fine. Like, it's normal. And I really hope that those people that are experiencing that will have the right support at work to ensure that when you're not feeling great and you're not pushing through great, that you will be able to have that right support at work to get you through those lower moments. Now, on the other hand, if you have got to a position, and this was more my story, where, you know, for me, things were challenging before the loss. Now it's got worse. And maybe, you know what, I rushed in haste. I knew I had to leave my current workplace. And as I think I mentioned in the previous video, this decision wasn't based on just any, you know, injustices that I felt happened in my job. This was purely based on me. Was I happy there? No, I wasn't. What did I feel I was the right person for that job? No, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't feel like it suited my skill set. I don't feel like I was able to, you know, deliver the skills that I've gained over the 10 plus years of experience. And that's more, that is, yeah, grief plays a part in that, but it also, even prior to the grief, yeah, that just wasn't, it was a mixed match, basically. I know how and why I got the job, because in the beginning, I genuinely felt like it was the right thing for me. But as time, very quickly, actually, to be fair, it wasn't long before I knew that that wasn't a role for me. And that became more apparent after my loss. So as much as I would say that, yeah, you know, don't rush to make a rash decision, take your time. For me, I had known long before that I needed to leave. And so if you're ever in a situation that I was in and you make the decision to leave, then just leave. I don't care what it is, you know, try and arrange your finances, try and get support, or just quickly look for a new role that maybe aligns with what you really want to do. Or if in some case, do something that maybe even feels easier, so that when you do go into that job, it's more like just easier and you can put your attention more on healing yourself and doing what's right for you as part of your grief journey. But yeah, I made the right decision to leave and to take time off. You know, there was a meme, I hope I can share it on this video, that spoke about, you know, you don't have to always sort of like push through things. You can actually take a break. The world is not going to stop because you took a break. That job or that organization is not going to stop because you took a break. God forbid anything happened to you during such a difficult time in your life. They will maybe care for all of 5 seconds. You will be replaced with a new job ad by the following week. So if you need to take time, go take the time. You know, there's only one you. That organization is going to most likely outlive you if they've still got the money to continue. So take the break. Look at your contract. Look up any statutory sick pay and leave that you have and what your entitlement looks like. Use your personal days. Use your annual leave. Use whatever special leave. Read through all the policies. Use what you need to take the break. And don't suffer because we've grown up in a society that says you push through everything, you get through everything, you keep pushing, you don't give up. I wanted to expand that from now. Take the break. If you need multiple breaks, take it. Don't be pushing through because you only got one body, and that one body has already pushed through so many things. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. You may push through and be like, yeah, I got through this difficult time, I'm great. But your body kept the score. A lot of illnesses, a lot of problems come through stress. And I'm telling you, stress is built up over time. It comes through your feelings, but it's stored through your body. So take the break. If your career needs a setback, go sit down. If you need to readjust your lifestyle to give yourself time to breathe, you better readjust it if you can. And don't get me wrong, I'm fully aware that people are in different positions and are different different positions financially and in their career, and they may feel like they can't do that. So I definitely understand it, but no, you have to. You have to. There's only one you, but there's multiple jobs out there, and companies, yeah, they have a duty of care, and that's what I'm gonna say on that. They have a duty of care. So, but the only person that can really care about you is you. So you're gonna have to. You need to take the time. Take the time. Might need to move. I don't know, but so when it comes to grief from work, it's really inclining your head. It's really about inclining your ear to your feelings, what you're doing, how you're engaging. If work has successfully helped you during this period of your grief journey, then great. But if it hasn't, I hope this video has helped you to kind of find some of the signs and inclinations of maybe it not going so well, and how to sort of manage that and deal with that. A lot of these tips, some of these tips I did, but a lot of these tips, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do. I now look back and wish I had done them, because I think maybe the outcome may have been different. And now, with a much more clearer head, I'm taking accountability for my part in how that journey, how I navigated my return to work, which I don't think was really that well. I was not coping, and not even realizing I weren't coping, and just pretending I was coping. So, guys, don't do it. Be honest and try and get a solution, whether that's more time off or you leave the job altogether, like I did, and find something else that's a bit more suited to who you are and what you do naturally, so that it doesn't feel so hard. But anywho, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I hope it's helped somebody. I hope it's delivered for someone else. But as I sit here, just sort of recuperate during my time in between roles, I just felt it was quite a good time to talk about it and reflect on the last few months of my grief journey and navigating the world of work. All right, bye.